Hello there, welcome to Farm Markets the Future. Disruption has arrived and it's here to stay. The last few months and weeks have been an interesting time to be in this industry. So let me introduce myself. I'm John Stanley. I'm a consultant, workshop leader and conference speaker within the farm industry. I've done a lot of work with farm markets in the UK, but myself and Linda, we're actually based in West Australia. So Linda and myself have a sweet chestnut farm. We are 3 hours south of Perth, and we've been involved with farm markets over the years. We have helped set up farmers markets from scratch. We've also been involved in managing farmers markets, and every week we go to a farmers market. So we get involved in a lot of different things as far as the market is concerned. So sweet chestnuts, that's our crop. What we do is we add value to sweet chestnuts. We have chestnut fed pork, chestnut ale, chestnut flour, chestnuts in syrup, chestnut mustard. So we're great believers in adding value to the product. But today we're going to look at farm markets and what is changing, what has to change, and what developments do we need to look at to take the markets forward, because disruption has arrived and it's definitely here to stay. Why has all this disruption taken place? We're all aware of the virus, but it's changed what consumers want. Consumers now, in the last few weeks, have become food independent. Food independence is a big issue with the consumer now. So they're looking at cooking it at home. Tasty and easy is a big issue. They want ingredients ready to hand. Meal kits. There's been a 63% growth in America in the last few weeks. And the same has probably occurred in Australia and the UK. Now, meal kits have not been profitable for many organisations, but I think we're going to see that change as the new developments move forward. And of course, the consumer now can have a farm shelf at home. They can actually grow their produce in the kitchen. These don't come cheaply, but it shows one of the trends taking place. And probably the biggest move that I've seen in the last 6 weeks is drive-by pickups at farm shops. So what does that mean for the farm shop industry and the farm market industry? It means that we're seeing a great deal of change. And of course, the British consumer has changed. British consumers have changed. 60% are trying new cooking techniques. More are cooking from scratch than they've ever done. 9 out of 10 adults are more aware of food wastage. 30% are saying they're throwing less away. So that means that although we've been, many of us, unable to get to farmers markets over the last few weeks, we have changed as consumers, and therefore farmers markets are going to have to change in the next year to 2 years. I mentioned farm shops, farmers markets as they're called in America. Let's just look at one example. Willow Tree was a traditional farm shop in Ontario, but now their promotion is sharing our harvest. Fresh food delivered to your door. They've got a weekly fresh food delivery checklist on how to get the product. They show the consumer how it works. And now 60 to 70% of their product is going from the farm straight to the consumer's home. So we've seen a huge amount of change take place in farm retailing over the last few weeks. And that change has really established the local farm shops. So that really gives us something to think about in the farm market situation. Farmers markets were an experience. Consumers came for an experience. But all that has now changed and is changing. So we need to think about what is the role of the farmers market moving forward. How do we develop it? Are we going to be relevant in the marketplace? So before we look at the future, I'll just look at the past for a minute. because the successful model of the past is not the model we need to develop for the future. The success model of the past was about three key issues. One was authentic storeholders that were local and were farmers. We also needed to include local entertainers, so local people who provided a point of difference in the farmers' market. And the third thing we needed as a success model was a storeholder or chef cooking demonstration. Again, local chefs, part of the entertainment factor. So that was the model that successful farmers' markets have been using. But now, if we look at the consumer's journey, it's changed. They're ordering local produce from home. They're looking for a drive-through farm market or delivery to their home. So the experience now has moved from what was the farmers' markets to home. Now they're looking for an experience at home. So the model that we need to think about has changed. So what is the point of difference? Well, if we look at research done by the Farmers Market Coalition in New York, the place where rural and urban meets is what they define as a farmers market point of difference. The place where rural and urban meets. Farm Markets Coalition has also asked the question, why should farm markets exist in the future? Their issues that they've come up with is to preserve rural livelihoods, to stimulate the local economy, to increase access to fresh, nutritious food, to support a healthy community, promote sustainability. But there's always a but. Before we can develop a strategy for the future, we need to ask two critical messages. Who are your customers and what do they care about? So before we look at strategies moving forward, I think everybody in the industry now needs to stand back and say, who are your customers and what do they care about? Where do they live? How old are they? What do they look like to do? What do they like to do? What is important to them when they buy? What are their aspirations? What is their financial situation? Now, that will differ from community to community. So even if you took a London, in one part of London, the type of customer and what they care about could be different to another part of London. It could differ between the north and the south of the UK. It could differ between Scotland, Wales and England. So everybody would come up with a different strategy moving forward based on how these questions are answered by your team developing your farmers market. But once you know them, you can then build stories that attract them. Build foundations to market to them. Share and connect with them. Build trust. And of course, then you can measure the impact. So we need that information so we can build that strategy for the future. Well, today, what I want to go through is 15 steps, let's say beyond 2020. What are the 15 steps we need to consider moving forward? Some of them you may have already implemented. Some of them may be completely new to you. Some of them you may say does not apply to my farm market. And I'm sure you may come up with some other steps I haven't even thought about. So we need to put those strategies together. So let's start walking. Number one, trust is your key marketing tool. Now, trust used to be about produce. Trust moving forward is about a sanitation policy and a social distancing policy. And if those aren't implemented, the consumer is not going to trust your farmer's market. So you need to have a very strong policy that is communicated to all the storeholders on the sanitation policy and the social distance policy, and we need to make sure that is implemented on the site. So number one is trust as a marketing tool moving forward. Number two, you have to be authentic. You have to prove it and you have to promote it. The trust is the new game rules. We have to have a genuine market. Now, in my own part of the world, in Australia, there are some markets that are highly trusted because they're authentic. There's other markets where the consumer knows that some of the storeholders are not genuine farmers. And of course, this obviously has a major effect on the trust. So trust is the new game rules, but you have to be authentic, prove it and promote it. Which is why I'm a great believer. One thing we should do as an industry is set up 5-star farmers markets. Farmers markets that are 5-star because of their values and their trust statements. So to be a 5-star market, these are the values that you've got to proceed and develop as a farmers market. So I think it's important that we look at how we get that trust across to people. Number three, over the last few weeks, grab and go has been a huge development in the market. And in my view, it will keep growing. So grab and go is an important issue. And while many farmers markets have been closed, grab and go has been developing in the marketplace. A lot of people have developed the grab and go concept and they've done an exceptionally good job. Neighbourhood food in the UK is one of those examples where it's basically a grab and go concept coming from farmers. And if we look at what's happening in the farmers market situation, let's look at two examples. Minnesota Farmers Market has created the Minnesota Farmers Market hubs. And on their web page, the consumer can order produce from a number of different people in the hub. They will deliver to a central location, and then the consumer can pick up the product basically in a box, a grab and go situation developed by the farmers market. My local farmers market in Margaret River has done a similar situation. They've set up a web page where the consumer can order produce from the storeholders the week before the farmers market. Then the farmers market collects all those products, puts them in a box, so the consumer just takes a grab and go situation at the farmers market. So I think we're going to see grab and go concepts develop in farmers markets because the consumer is expecting that in the future. So think about it, the marketplace in Washington, Pennsylvania has the virtual farm stand. I think we need to think about developing the virtual farm stand as a package within the farmers market, and that virtual farm stand will be a grab and go location within the market. That means, number 4, we need to integrate grab and go offers. Value add is the name of the game. We need to provide meals, not produce. So that means what we should be looking at is storeholders working together to develop meal offers so they can integrate a grab and go offer between storeholders. So this is a whole new thinking process we need to look at to develop our farmers markets, where we need to look at integrated grab and go offers where the storeholders are providing meal solutions rather than just produce. A whole new thinking game for some farm markets to think about. And number 5, cashless markets are to be the norm. I was talking to somebody 2 days ago who was saying they were looking forward to cash coming back into the marketplace. I think cash is the past. I think as a strategy, we need cashless markets. And our local farmers market has already gone cashless. So a cashless market has to be a strategy that the consumer is going to expect. It's going to be grab and go and tap and go. So all our store holders need to be geared up for a grab and go, tap and go market. And of course, this is going to develop because it's already happening in the marketplace with our type of produce. The customer is used to a tap and go offer, especially over the last few weeks. So they're expecting that to continue in all types of market outlets where they're buying the produce. So we're going to see that tap and go development as part of the normal process. Now, before the virus came along, we were already talking of plastic-free markets as the future. And I think we need to promote the fact that farm markets are plastic-free marketplaces, that the plastic-free is part of the future. It was part of the past. And if we look historically, what happened was produce was sold without packaging. And we're going to see some of that more traditional marketing techniques coming back into the marketplace. And many store holders are already in this sustainable market space. And that's going to continue. There will be exceptions. And probably one of the exceptions in my part of the world has been with the strawberry. And last year we had an instance where someone was putting needles into strawberries, and then we had to provide needle-proof packaging. So although we're in a sustainable market, at the same time we've had to develop needle-proof packaging. And I'm sure some of those issues are going to come forward as we move forward in our thinking and technology. But if we have to use packaging, why not be a lot more adventurous in the thinking and the style of the packaging, and create something different that is memorable and provides a bit of entertainment and amusement to the consumer. Number 5, store holders need to be deep in range and narrow in breadth. All store holders need to be famous for something. And it's something we need to work with store holders to help them think through what they're famous for so they can promote that. And I do a lot of workshops with farmers where we look at what are you going to be famous for? Because the key is to be deep in range and narrow in breadth. And if I use our own business as an example, we are very narrow. It's sweet chestnuts. But we are deep in range. So we'll provide a grab and go sweet chestnut offer, chestnuts in the shell, peeled chestnuts, chestnut flour, chestnut ale, chestnut fed pork, chestnut puree, and so it goes on. So we're deep in the range, but narrow in the breadth. And that is the type of thinking process that store holders need to be developing in their markets. Number 6, we need to set up markets when and where customers want an experience. So traditionally, we've always been saying that we're going to do a farmer's market on a Friday, a Saturday or a Sunday. That type of thing will still continue because the consumer wants a standard expectation. But at the same time, we've got to look at opportunities where the farmer's market can pop up. So pop-up farmers markets, when and where the situation allows it, I think will be a lot more common. I'm seeing a situation in Singapore where a farmer's market has gone on wheels, and it's gone to areas where it can pop up in urban locations where there hasn't been an easy access to fresh produce. So I think we're going to see this pop-up situation develop more and more as we move forward. Number 7, millennials are some of the highest spenders on food, and selling to millennials is a winner. So millennials is going to be a growth market, and what we need to encourage is more millennial farmers selling to millennials. And millennials selling to millennials is something we need to encourage as a thinking process. Because these millennials are out there and they're saying, I want natural. Now the challenge to me is, what is natural? And the millennial thinking process is probably different to me as a baby boomer in my thinking process. So for example, in Australia, we started asking consumers in Australia, what do you mean by natural? Now what they said was, what is natural? Well, natural is unprocessed, it's organic, it's grown, it's fresh, there's no colouring, there's no preservatives, there's no added chemicals, there's no artificial ingredients, there's less sugar, less packaging, less false claims and less ingredients. So that's what they're saying is natural. And what we need to think about is our marketing strategies moving forward, and how do we develop what we know as natural and what the consumer believes is natural. So there's a whole range of stories we can put together to help the consumer. And something that's gone quiet, in my view, in the last few weeks is the vegan movement. That will re-emerge as part of the developments in our industry, and we need to be prepared for the vegan progression in the marketplace and make sure that we're addressing that, especially with our millennial consumer. And these millennials, these consumers are looking for, number 8, a food ambassador for the market. So what we need to think about as part of our marketing strategy is, within our community, have we partnered with the food ambassadors? These food ambassadors are people in the community who, when asked, would say they're a foodie. So who are the foodies who are very strong in social media and communicate, and have we linked in with those in our community to promote what we do on farmers markets? So part of our marketing strategy is to get those food ambassadors in the community in which we work to develop and help us promote healthy foods and foods from the market. So food ambassadors are going to become more important, but let's also remember that when we're looking at food ambassadors, we need to also think of the more global scene of the food evangelists who are setting trends around the world in food. So we've got the local ambassadors, but also we need to keep in touch with the trendsetters, the food evangelists, who are spreading the message on fresh food, veganism, organic food, etc. Social media, as we all know, is the huge influencer in the marketplace, and we need to have that social media strategy that links in with those evangelists and those ambassadors in the marketplace. Number 9, tell the story. It's compulsory. People buy stories. People have always bought stories, and people will continue to buy stories. So tell the story because it's compulsory. And we're in a wonderful storytelling industry. Storytelling is based on a number of issues. All stories have characters. And of course, farmers are the brilliant characters, the brilliant heroes that we need to promote through our farmers' markets. So we have the characters. The settings is the farm. We have the farms. The focus is what we grow. We have the focus. Adversity is part of storytelling, and farmers have and will continue to experience certain adversities. But farmers also have triumph. So in storytelling, we can talk about the characters, the settings, the focus, the adversities that we've been through and the triumphs that we have succeeded in. So every storeholder has a story to tell, and we need to help them promote and develop those stories. So number 10 is we can tell the story via social media. And we could say to every storeholder, we would like to produce a video on our farmers market webpage based on your farm and you as a hero. Social media page is essential as part of marketing, and we'd like to link our Facebook webpage to your Facebook webpage through social media. And every farmer should be able to provide a recipe once a month based on produce that they're selling in the farmers market. This may be in the future that we have a 3-tier storeholder rate. We may have gold storeholders, and those gold storeholders participate in marketing with the video, the social media, the recipes. Then we may have silvers who are regular attendants but not involved in the marketing. And then bronze, occasional storeholders. So we could even have a 3-tier stall process where someone who's a gold would be paying a lesser rate than a silver or a bronze, because telling the story is critically important, and we need to get those stories across for our stall holders. And of course, the more golds we've got, the better the market that we've got. So we need to involve the store holders very heavily in our marketing strategy. Number 11, home delivery, either before or after the market, is now an acceptable part of marketing. Over the last few weeks, we've seen home delivery grow and grow. And home delivery is now going to be part of the farm market strategy. Matters of Taste is actually a cooking school in Perth. They've linked in with the growers in the southwest of the state who are in the Southern Forest Produce Group. And every week, Matters of Taste sends out a list to their database of produce that's available. The farmers put this produce together. Matters of Taste then distribute it through home delivery through their market. So home delivery is going to be part of moving forward. Already it's happening. Farm Drop, the sustainable supermarket. So there are people out there doing home delivery. We now need to integrate home delivery into the farmers market. Number 12, link in with local cooking schools as a partner. Cooking schools have become highly trendy, highly fashionable over recent months, and more consumers are now cooking. And we've seen the upsurge in bakery in the UK. So every community will have a cooking school. And that cooking school, in my view, should be a partner with the farmers market. And we should be offering an opportunity to cook at the farmers market. We should be sharing recipes and communicating and networking with a local cooking school as a partner with the farmers market. That means cooking demonstrations are essential. So cooking demonstrations would be developed as a part of the norm at the farmers market. So think about what cooking demonstrations the cooking school could be engaged with you in doing at the market with local farm market storeholders to promote food, and the recipes would be available. And then it's branded authenticity. People are looking for genuine branded farmers markets. So we can wrap all this together and say, this is our branding authentically. This is how we develop our market. This is the strategy that we need to look at. It's happening around the world. Dubai's doing it through a phone app, etc. And 15 is one of the changes taking place. We used to, as an industry, do make and take, where the consumer could come to a farmer's market or a farm shop and they could make things and take them away. And that has been a growth in the industry. That is now changing to take and make, where they look at something, get the ingredients in a grab and go situation. So I think part of the strategy is we've got to provide a YouTube cooking school based on the market. We could do this in partnership with the cooking schools. So every week a video comes out on how to prepare a meal using produce from the market. At the market we have the recipes and the ingredients available. We have a take and make situation. I think this is going to be one of the big changes we see. In our own business, we do cooking with chestnuts, and we do a 10-minute max video every week that goes out on our Facebook page with the aim of encouraging people that week to buy those ingredients. So the make and take has now changed to take and make, where they take the product from a grab and go situation and they make it at home. This is where farmers markets have an opportunity to develop a new situation in the marketplace. So we're seeing all these changes taking place. What we're seeing now is a new model, a success model for the future. Yes, consumers will come to a farm market for on-site experience. And we've got that on-site experience that is a huge opportunity to provide a point of difference within the community. At the same time, we'll be providing cooking classes online on a weekly basis based on produce in the farmers market. So cooking online is going to be part of the future. There'll be grab and go meals. So we're moving from just produce to grab and go meals. We'll have to be authentic and be able to show the customer that they can trust us because we're genuine farmers markets with genuine members. And we provide a home delivery situation for the consumer. So part of the success model of the future is that it's not a market that just appears on a Friday, Saturday or Sunday or any other day of the week. The farmers market is an integrate part of the local community, where the community can engage and interact with the farmers market through the week. So there's going to be a lot more input in engagement as we move forward. Yes, we'll still have the entertainment and the cooking schools, but it'll be an engagement process on a weekly process. So the journey is about to change. I do a webinar, videos on a regular basis, once or twice a week, and on my John Stanley Gathering Facebook page. The videos are also on the EPOS Bureau, where we've got a little EPOS TV station where we produce them on there. So if you want to look at those, you're welcome to talk to the EPOS Bureau, log in, and you can download those for free. I hope what I've done is given you some ideas on the opportunities that we have. We're at the point now where markets are beginning to open again around the world. We have to change the strategy. We have an opportunity to build a difference. Local is going to be a lot more important. Consumers are saying they want to buy local rather than go to the grocery store. We need to be really seen as part of the community, engaging with the community. And I'm not saying we haven't done that in the past. I think we've got an opportunity to develop it further in the future. I hope I've challenged you. I hope I've given you some ideas you hadn't thought of. Please let me know if you've got some questions and any comments and any successes that we can report. Be great to see the industry move to the next stage in marketing. Thank you for joining me and look forward to hearing from you.